President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's Sunday morning broadcast in the wake of the ongoing nationwide hardship protests has attracted reactions, both negative and positive, from Nigerians, but with many dismissing it as largely empty and evasive. The protests, which began August the 1st and be to last for 10 days, have resulted so far in violence in some parts of the country and loss of lives. Omar Bazuaye in this report takes a look at the president's speech and some of the takeaways for Nigerians.
My fellow Nigerians, I speak to you today with a heavy heart and sense of responsibility.
After days of nationwide protests against rising cost of living in the country, Nigeria's President Bola Tinubu, with a heavy heart, is forced to address a distressed nation. On the protests that has turned violent in many parts of the country, President Tinubu, in a 38-paragraph speech delivered in 23 minutes, called on the protesters to immediately end their protest and embrace dialogue to address their demands.
I hereby enjoin protesters and the organizers to suspend any further protest and create room for dialogue, which I have always acceded to at the slightest opportunity.
The president laments the violence and the avoidable loss of lives and destruction of property in the wake of the protest, stressing that as president, he cannot stand idly by and allow a few with clear political agenda tear the country apart.
I am especially pained by the loss of lives in Borno, Jigawa, Kano, Kaduna, and other states, the destruction of facilities in some states, and the wanton looting of supermarkets and shops, contrary to the promise of protest organizers.
Tinubu said his vision for Nigeria is one of prosperity, even as he noted that over the years, Nigeria's economy has been badly mismanaged, stunting growth. Tinubu explained that the comatose economic situation he met on ground informed the painful decision to remove fuel subsidies and abolish multiple foreign exchange systems to save more money to spend on Nigerians.
These actions block the greedy and the profit that smugglers and rent seekers made. They also block the undue subsidy we had extended to our neighboring countries to the detriment of our people, rendering our economy prostrate.
According to Tinubu, Nigeria has made significant strides in rebuilding the economy, enumerating some of his administration's achievements in the last 1 year and 2 months. They include 570 billion naira released to states to support Nigerians, 50 billion naira approved for student loan, 200 billion naira for consumer credit cooperation for youth, $620 million for digital and creative enterprise for youth, and 75,000 Nigerians to receive 1 million micro and small business single-digit interest loan, as well as 1 billion naira each to large manufacturers under single-digit interest loan. They also include 10 micro, small, medium enterprise hubs built, creating 240,000 jobs. Others are 70,000 naira minimum wage for workers. Government revenue hitting over 9.1 trillion naira in first half of 2024, even as oil production increased to 1.61 million barrels per day.
We have come this far, coming from a place where our country spent 97% of all our revenue on debt service. We have been able to reduce that to 68% in the last 13 months. We have also cleared legitimate outstanding foreign exchange obligations of about 5 billion without any adverse impact on our programs.
The president also used the moment to draw attention to his development plans, starting with a 1,000 housing units of Renewed Hope Estate to be built in the 6 geopolitical zones of the country. Another 100,000 units of housing to be delivered in 3 years, as well as to cultivate 10 million hectares of land, and the removal of tariff and import duties on rice, maize, wheat, and pharmaceutical, as well as medical supplies for 6 months, among others. At the end of his speech, Tinubu told the protesters that he has heard their cry loud and clear, and that he understands the pain and frustration that drives the protest, even as he appeals to them to shun violence and join hands with him to build a better future for Nigeria. Omo Bazwai, Arise News.
Joining us now is Liborous Oshoma, a lawyer and human rights activist. Good morning, Liborous. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning, Doc. Good morning, Ayo, and good morning, Rufai.
Good morning, and thank you especially for the implication.
Thank you very much.
You delivered. You over-delivered.
Happy birthday again, Narias.
Happy birthday.
I miss this narrative about implications. Some people have been eating jollof rice on my behalf.
It's a great deal.
Really?
He delivered.
Even if I didn't partake in the implication, but I saw it, that was because of people who are
some greedy people around the place
Yeah,
who will take 3 packs instead of
the
one.
implication. I didn't eat
Or
anything
take
out of
5.
it.
It wasn't me. It's not me they are talking about. I ate one.
I didn't eat out of
You
it.
see, when you send implications here,
No,
you have to monitor the implications.
Okay,
Otherwise, some very
please.
gluttonous people will grab everything.
And please, next time when you send the implication, say it that it is only the bearers, the 3 bearers that should handle the implication.
Okay.
So that no external force should handle. Once they handle it and say we are the ones.
Okay, inside baseball. Don't
Inside
worry.
baseball.
Let everybody enjoy implications.
enjoy
All of you are enjoying because it's Arise News. It's okay. We thank God for what God has done. But let's talk about President Tinubu's speech. What's your take? We've been on this subject since yesterday, but what do you think?
I think that's a speech that could have been made long before the protests. I don't think that's a speech for the protests. I want to say that before now, President Tinubu is somebody who you would say ordinarily would not shy away from media, interact with civil societies. Even during the NSAS, I think somebody put a call through to him when they said he has run away, and he said, no, he's here. So, but I am shocked that since President Tinubu took over office, till date, there has not been this media chat or media interaction. And because consistent conversations will help to douse tension. First and foremost, they had to beg the president to address the nation. And when the address eventually came, he didn't even address the issues. Even if at all you pretend to address, some of the issues. Let me you say people should come negotiate, that you're ready to discuss and dialogue. I would have expected, even if a pretense, to say, okay, to give, strength to this dialogue. I've set up a 5-member committee of so and so and so persons, and they shall work out the modalities for looking at these issues. After all, even Buhari, that we say was always unaware, pretended to, accede to the demand, first the 5 for 5 demand of the NSAS protest. But for this one, you just went on and on talking about housing, talking about what the government has done, the challenges that you met, and that they will not be solved in one day. Everything the president has said, or he said, rather, are things that people already know that you're doing, but despite these things, people still feel that, look, the hardship, well, you're asking us to tighten our belt, just like the SAP time, and yet we're not seeing government tighten their belt. What is government doing in that regard? What will you do to ensure that, give some concession? But like, typical of our government here, there was nothing, no concession, no mention, or you just say, oh, look, everybody should, give government time. How long? What are the timelines? Yeah. What are your short-term measures? What are your medium-term measures? What are your long-term measures to addressing this issue? You're talking about, it's you can say it's, a hydra-headed heading, bad governance. There are things that lead to bad governance. What are those things that you have taken to ensure that, you know, this bad governance, bad leadership that we're all talking about would be addressed? I expected all of those, you know, maybe at the beginning or at the bottom before you now go into the areas that you have, that he highlighted. But none of that was mentioned. And so it was like, you know, since you people have said I should address you, okay, let me address you. And another thing was, you know, people having to see the speech before it was even read. For me, that took away the meat of it, took away the shine, it took away the expectations.
There's an explanation for that, right? I traditionally on Dr. Bati, in terms of what we know is that usually the speech is released to the press the night before so that it can go on their dailies the next day. And of course, some people would leak that document. So it's just that thing about integrity and transparency across board, not just at government level, but even amongst, you know, some press people as well.
Yeah, I agree, Ayo. But the thing is, you know, when the president wanted to remove the fuel subsidy, he was not in the speech that was leaked. And that speech, that inaugural speech, was also not leaked. We didn't see it. But let's leave the side of, maybe somebody mischievously had leaked. But there are some concession that you make that people would be the news, even though they are not in your speech. But none of them, you just come, read the speech the way it was, and, you know, it ends there. So I really, for me, there was no meat in it. It was bare and I already knew.
Okay, let me ask my question.
There was no.
I had pomo if you said there was no meat.
No pomo at all. It was all bones.
Pomo is not nutritious, so it's empty. All right.
It was all bones.
So the speech in some way, by Jensen, me just collect and let me rest. Is this speech you want to take? But you know, seriously though, whether or not, and like Dr. Bati introduced, it's mixed reactions. Some people have said it was not good at all, whilst others saw merit. So let me look at the merit first of all, at least to see what we can pick out. This is what they've given us a piecemeal. Let's see how we can make the best out of it. The first thing is dialogue. He's opened up for dialogue with the people, you know, the leaders of the protest. What should that look like? Who are the leaders of the protest? Because we have the Stop, Take It Back Nigeria, Take It Back group, and then there are also other groups. We have the Showore. I don't think Showore's one is with Take It Back because their demands are different. That's another thing I was going to point out. Which demand is he going to accede to? Because on one hand, you have the one from the Take It Back movement, you have the one from the Omoyele Showore. So there are demands flying left, right, and center. I've chosen to look at the one that's with the EIE, which I believe is the Take It Back, you know, movement, and they have their handle End Bad Governance on X. So that's the one I'm looking at. But what should dialogue look like? Who should be part of that dialogue? Because let's begin to work with what we have.
First and foremost, if you go back to let's start from the Save Nigerian Group protests in 2012. For that one, there was one body, every other group
came under that umbrella.
Came under that Save Nigerian Group. And so that group drove the protest. And so you could, even when Labour subsequently went to negotiate, you know, price, some persons went, even though at the end of the day we had that they were not on the table of negotiation, but they went to Abuja. For the, what do you call it, the 2020 protest of NSAS, also there were no leaders.
Yes.
There were no leaders, but there were demands.
Yes.
And the government looked at the demand and said, look, yes, we have accepted this. And then even took steps to disband SARS, even though it was clothed in another name. But it was the same behavior, the same attitude, and we still see it today. But what led to that breach of trust is breach of trust that actually led to the fact that people will now say we don't have leaders. Because over time, our police also are not trained to curb unrest, civil unrest. If you have any matter in the police station, the first thing is you are invited, you are released on bail. You are arrested, you are released on bail. Even if you go there voluntarily, they will ask somebody to take you on bail. So the belief is that once the police says, come, let's discuss, let's negotiate, the belief is that our police does not have, you know, that mentality of negotiation. So I will start from, because the IG also had called on the leaders to come out to dialogue. A protest that you know, first and foremost, you come, you threaten, and then you now subsequently say, let's dialogue, people certainly are not going to come out to dialogue. Because the fear would be that. And here also, we shouldn't shy away from it. No matter how civil a matter is in Nigeria, the police can taint it as criminal. And you can be locked up. Even in some cases, the court will grant you bail. To perfect that bail will be a problem. And until people start beginning to shout. So there's that breach of trust. Yep. The government needs to win the trust of the people to say, look, I can walk into these negotiations and walk out. And before the protest, the government also had that some persons, the negotiations that was called, their lawyers represented them. But the people said, no, what we want are those people. That means, really, you are not ready for negotiation. Because if you are indeed ready for negotiations, a lawyer is as good as his client. There are demands on paper. These are documentary demands. It has nothing to do with the person, because also there were situations where some persons were arrested, you know, across board. On that note, that's why also I had expected that the president should set up a team to say, to show that we want to bridge this gap, we want to truly talk. These are the members of the team that we have set up to interface with any group that feel aggrieved. Just like you had the panel after the NSAS protest, there was a panel. And people made representation to that panel. For me, it was like... Almost like
a town hall?
It was almost like a town hall.
Is that what you're looking... Because I really want us to define things today. So, we have to get somewhere with the protest.
No, I will get there. So, you have different groups. Because people protest for different reasons. Yeah. The same way I might be protesting against government. My neighbor who sees me drive SUV might be protesting against me, seeing me as an oppressor.
You drive SUV?
Yes, I do.
Oh, okay. Very good information. You are one of the oppressors.
So you see what I'm talking about. So people protest for different reasons. But if there is abundance, and then you'll be able to, even those that are protesting against those driving SUV, will be able to afford, you know, affordable means of transportation. So you don't limit it to just one group, because it was never just one group. Yeah. It was a body of people saying, we need to end bad governance. We need to end hunger in the land. We need to end impunity. And so it should be for anybody that can make representation. When you set up a committee or a panel to look into unrest, the unrest is not, the people who make representation are not just one group. You have various groups. Some people might be protesting over land. Some people, okay, take this, Igbo should leave. Yeah. Also, it's a ground for ventilating those people that they are saying should leave. They can make representation to that panel to say, look, how do we ensure a Nigeria that is accommodating to all tribes, irrespective of tribe and tongue?
So going back to the question around what should dialogue look like, because I want us to come out, hopefully, with some, at least let's take the good thing, I mean, the things from the speech that we can, and help him to craft a way to actualize
that's what I'm saying. First and foremost, I still remember I started by saying, this is a president who used to dialogue with civil society. They say Labour has issue. They say Tinubu invited members of Labour to his house and had a talk with them, and they are ready to. So what has stopped the president from discussing with Nigerians? Nigerians actually need people to dialogue with them.
Absolutely.
We need that dialogue with our leaders. Okay. We need to have a consistent conversation.
So call groups together.
So if you have if you set up a team, a panel, to say, look, now this panel, there's need for discussions. Yeah. Every group that feel aggrieved should but in that discussion, there are issues that already are very obvious. They are visible to the blind and audible to the deaf. Government should be addressing those issues to show sincerity.
I wants to say something. So, good idea about the panel. As long as that committee that is set up does not collect sitting allowance.
Yes, there should be no. It shouldn't be a voluntary work, and then also it shouldn't be a communique at the end of the day resolutions that will be trashed like others.
But the question is, you expect a man that has not granted one interview in his life of his presidency, you can show me if he's granted many, a man that didn't attend presidential debates, even if they say, oh, arise, oh, they are very harsh there, did his own TV station ever organize anyone for him to even attend in the first place? When the other TV station organized, did he attend?
Chatham House.
Even Chatham House says teamship that helped him answer the question.
Let him bring teamship now.
So no, we don't want teamship. People, Nigerians elected the president. Those that voted for him voted the president.
Assuming that he does not know how to talk again.
So secondly, so is it that man you want? And are you saying that Buhari was even better in terms of laying the ground for this negotiation communication than President Tinubu?
Yes, so far from what we have seen.
Before you also answer the myriad of questions.
I don't see how Buhari is better.
No, wait.
Let me so far.
He's going to whip his own reason and sentiment. Let me whip this sentiment for you. The Nation newspaper, August 5, 2024, says, President Tinubu gets kudos for so winning national broadcast. That's what the Nation, so winning. So I want to ask you,
no, you can't win all souls.
Even
Odumeje has not been able to win my own soul.
Did you win your soul? Because the Nation says soul winning. Did he win your soul? Did he convert you?
There are different kinds of souls. Odumeje has not won my own soul, for example.
That's what the Nation says. They say one soul. He didn't win you over.
He won the writer's soul, but he didn't win my soul.
He didn't win your soul?
No. Okay. If you win
so
one
you're
soul,
saying the Nation didn't get it right?
If you
don't say that about it.
No, I said that the writer. I said the writer, he probably won this writer's soul. So it's his perspective. But my perspective, I can't force it on them.
Okay.
He didn't win my soul.
Okay.
So, and that's why I said
so why are you not saying Tinubu, Buhari is better? In terms of
coming to that.
Communication lines than him.
Even as bad as it was, yes, it took him time to even have a media pally, because for the first 4 years or so, he didn't have. But we had a situation where there were demands. That's the area I'm looking at. They said the demand was 5 for 5. And the man said, look, yes, the government said we have accepted the 5 demands and we are going to do something, and we actually saw them doing something. So, and also they say to whom much is given, much is expected. For a President Tinubu, this is somebody, unlike Buhari, who was in oblivion for 30 years, who you couldn't say granted interview before or addressed a seminar or presented a paper on how to fight corruption or how to fight insecurity before he became president. President Tinubu is somebody who had consistently engaged people. He is a mediator. So, now becoming president, I will expect much from him. Not just sit back and allow some persons.
But he's not expecting too much. He didn't attend debates. He only granted one BBC interview.
For campaigns.
Even in Chatham House, he didn't attend debates.
For campaigns.
Why do you expect him to change? And in 1 year, he's not granted any interview. He's not deemed it fit. Even if it's NTA, he's not granted.
That's what I'm saying. That
or has he
for
granted?
me, that's what I'm saying. For me, even Buhari, I wasn't expecting anything from Buhari. So it's better.
At least Buhari granted a rise. He granted NTA. He granted
like 7 years later.
Many interviews. No, in the last days, Buhari granted a lot of interviews.
Maybe it's too early. Just
but at least even if it's NTA, Tinubu has not granted.
President Tinubu, it's 6 days in the office. There ought to have been a discussion around what people should expect. Absolutely. You don't just mount a podium and say, I have yanked off subsidy, we're going to unify this. Subsequently, what the president should have done would be engagement. But there was no engagement, and people, that's why the young ones, the country gave him at least 1 year to say, okay, let us see what will happen. And after 1 year, nothing happens. And if this dialogue that he is proposing, there is nothing concrete about it, I can tell you that this one might just be a child's play to the ones that will come subsequently. Because truly, there is hunger in the land. And you can't see your lawmakers driving vehicles of 165 million naira per car, and then you see your senators going abroad for seminars that will not benefit you. You see the president going to Dubai with 1,116 delegates for a meaningless conference, and then you expect the people to continue to buy a tuber of yam at 15,000 naira.
Liborous.
No, they say it's come down. Tuber of yam has come down.
To 10,000.
Liborous.
It's no longer 10. I think they say 6.
No.
As a Friday
Rufai, I bought yesterday.
Liborous.
It's 10 you bought.
10,000.
For yam?
Liborous.
Yes.
Enough of the criticisms. And all this talk about winning souls. Some souls are so dark, nobody can win them. It depends on who is preaching. It depends on the...
So you didn't win your soul with that speech, Dr. Wazir, yesterday. Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm talking generally. As a man who went through training in Bible college, I just did not sit for the final exam because I looked around and said, well, do I want to be a pastor? So I just left with the knowledge.
Pastor Abati.
But let us... No, I went to a Bible college.
He didn't win your soul.
No, you were.
I went to a Bible college.
You didn't sit for the final exam.
Yeah, I didn't
so you're
write,
not a pastor.
I didn't write the final exam. I just took the knowledge and I left. But let me ask you, what is the way forward? That is what we should be talking about.
Fantastic.
We all know what the criticisms are.
Yes.
What do you recommend?
When this government, these people who were in opposition, they had solution to every problem of Nigeria. That's the same solution that people are talking about today. But now that in government, they are doing exactly the same, and if not worse, than what they once criticized. These are people who touted fiscal federalism, unbundling of Nigeria to ensure that governance get to the low level. All problem is Nigeria is local. Insecurity is local. Hunger is local. Poverty is local. You can't solve it from the center. Doctor, if you have a party of 1,000, 2,000 people, you don't serve your food from one center. The service point will be overcrowded and food will not get to those at the end. And so the best way, solution, unbundle. Last time we talked about local government autonomy. And we said if local government autonomy and the election to local government, irrespective of what Sheyi Makinde and his Oyo people are doing, that governance will get to the bottom. Day before yesterday, I posted a video of the airport in Miami. And I said, somebody was a director of protocol at the airport was explaining to me the job that the airport is created and it is managed by the county. That's the local government. The video is still on my Facebook and Instagram page. And if here you have airport managed by the federal government, they are still not as good as the one managed by local government in other places. So we should ensure that this idea of the federal government collect revenue and then now share down. Why can't the locals collect the revenue and then pay to the state and then to the federal? That way, our hunger will not be unified. If the man in Zamfara is protesting about hunger, I am sure the man in Lagos will say, no, hunger is not my problem, but I need water. That would be different. The man in Edo can say, look, we need our local government to fix our road. Yeah. And so when you call out for protest, you won't have a generic problem. But a situation where we continue to run our country the way we have been running it, just like you said before the program, our refineries will not work. Our problems will continue, we'll begin to push it down the ladder. We continue to kick the can. Any president that comes will tell you, I didn't create the problem, I'm just doing my best. Because what Tinubu is saying was the same thing Obasanjo said. If you remember, Bola Ige, late Bola Ige of blessed memory, once said that he didn't know the problems of power was that enormous. As far back as 1999, even though President promised, that power failure will be a thing of the past after 200 days in office. But when you start to manage it from that top and you run Nigeria like a local government where the president is the chairman, once there is hunger, everybody's going to point accusing fingers at him. What they are trying to do now is to say, we have given the governors so much. And the governors are saying, the money you gave to us is not even enough to pay minimum wage, not to talk of infrastructure. And because at the center, people see ostentatious lifestyle. Nobody's ready to pay taxes. Nobody's ready to work. Everybody believes now, if they want to pray for you, they say, Rufai, I pray you get government appointment. Because people believe that is the only way, that's the only ticket out of poverty. But no, that shouldn't be. If we have credible governance at the local level, the solution is not just dialogue. Dialoguing with poverty means you devolve power to the locals. So that way, you don't sit down and say you want to share rice. I said it last time, you want to share rice. What is the business of the federal government? We'll turn it to a government of palliative sharing. What's the business of federal government sharing grains to everybody across Nigeria? People in Edo might want beans and not, might want yam and not even rice. Those in Zamfara might want corn. But the federal government sits down and says, everybody in Nigeria, as if we are a local government, we need rice. And then you give to states. The people that need it are at the bottom. Might not be me. So if there's hunger,
they give you rice, collect.
Yeah, my gate man needs it, my driver needs it. I can afford to buy.
Yeah, if it's buying 10,000 naira yam, you can certainly afford to buy.
But these people can't afford it. Their salary can't even take them out of the gate on the talk of taking them home. And this is a country where people are still doing house help. Some don't even have a job. And then we have mass illiteracy across board. So if you take governance to the local level, not enough to say we're going to pay their money down. Let them collect the revenue. And then everybody will sit up. So the man in Zamfara or the man in Nasarawa will not allow just anybody to come and mine their lead and then take away while they are waiting for oil from Niger Delta. So that is the conversation that we need to be having. The same APC government set up a committee led by former governor of Kaduna State, Malam Nasir El-Rufai. What has become of that document, that recommendation? But like they say, some people, they say if you eat together, if you have a glutton in the family, he insists that you eat together because he knows we eat too much. Some people will tell you, no, we are better together. The unity of Nigeria is indivisible. We are not saying the unity is indivisible. But what we are saying is let us adjust it so that we can agree to agree and agree to disagree. For me, that's the solution to all of this. Otherwise, we'll continue to have dialogue, call it national conference, call it sovereign national conference, call it national dialogue, national debate. It all ends up with let there be governance at the local level, because that's the only way people can get food, people can be free from hunger, and then people can truly see what government is doing.
But the local government have the powers now. So it's time to get to work. Thank you.
Liborous, Oshoma.
My pleasure.
Thank you very much.